These are my personal opinions exclusively on how I think there were certain things that were amiss. Hello, welcome to yet another episode of Fashion Musings with designer Didi, aka yours truly Shivangi Lahoty. I am so excited that you showed up today for this particular episode. This one is really special, and fair disclaimer, some of you might not like what I say here. So please understand that these are my personal opinions that I am sharing with you guys from 12 years back when I entered design school for the first time. Was it 12? I think it was 2011, right? Yeah, 11 years from today is when I entered design school, and these are my personal opinions exclusively on how I think there were certain things that were amiss and कुछ चीज़ें ऐसी थी जो मुझे लगता है सिखाई जा सकती थी, जिससे मेरी ज़िंदगी एज अ फैशन स्टूडेंट शायद आसान हो जाती इन द इंडस्ट्री, एंड एज अ फैशन प्रोफेशनल एंड अ फैशन ग्रेजुएट फ्रॉम निफ्ट एंड FIT आई फील थोड़ा और ज़्यादा लेवरेज होता मेरे पास अगर ये चीज़ें मुझे सिखाई जाती तो. And in this particular video, I want to bring those things right in front of you if you're looking at me, and in this podcast, if you're listening to me, I want you to listen to me hard and clear and make your notes, because this is really juicy and it's definitely going to be a very sort of game changer kind of an episode. Can I say that? Not safe to say that so early, right? We'll hold our horses. Hold your horses, Shivangi. थोड़ी देर में हम जाएंगे उस पे. Alright, awesome. So the first thing that I feel that my design degree didn't teach me is getting business ready. I feel as fashion students in general, design schools go with the motive or start with the motive of getting us ready for the industry, but getting us ready to become employees and not employers. और बहुत फ़र्क है इन दो चीज़ों में, because हमें तैयार किया जाता है for this rat race of an industry that we'll be entering, and just for a 9-to-5 job, right? But there's much more to life than a 9-to-5 job, and no shade on you if you are in a 9-to-5 job. It takes a lot of discipline, a lot of courage, but all of us are different people. For some of us, it just doesn't make the cut. We cannot keep doing the same thing every day, and we like to be our own bosses. But जो फाउंडेशनल एजुकेशन हमें मिलती है अंडरग्रेड में, जो 4 साल हम लगाते हैं अपनी डिग्री में, अगर वहाँ हमें ये अपॉर्चुनिटी ही नहीं दी जाए कि हमें सिखाया जाए, इंट्रोड्यूस किया जाए इस कॉन्सेप्ट से दैट यू कैन ऑल्सो बी योर ओन बॉस, दैट यू कैन ऑल्सो बी अ फ्रीलांसर, और यू कुड ऑल्सो बी अ बिजनेस ओनर, आई फील इट इज़ वेरी अनफेयर. And I do realize that I am talking from my experiences from 11 years back, and I hope that today in design colleges this is something that is being taught. Of course you have one-off subjects like entrepreneurship, right? But एक subject काफ़ी नहीं होता. It takes lot more to understand how to actually build a brand, how to actually create something from scratch, how to not be risk averse, right? And how to be welcoming to risk, how to sort of be confident to put yourself out there and realize that it's okay to fail. It's completely all right to fail, because admit it or not, हमारी country में, या जो मेरे personal experiences है as an entrepreneur, और again I don't want to generalize and bring, ये मैं नहीं कहना चाहती कि failure को हम बहुत ज़्यादा look down करते हैं, शायद और देशों में भी करते होंगे. मैं मेरे देश की बात कर सकती हूँ क्योंकि मैं यहाँ रहती हूँ, या मेरे experiences से बात कर सकती हूँ जो मैं बाहर रही हूँ. But I personally feel अगर हम failure को थोड़ा एज अ फेलियर एक्नॉलेज नहीं करके कि अरे हुआ नहीं, से अगर हम ये एक्नॉलेज करें ना कि कम से कम कोशिश तो की, आई थिंक चेंज वहीं आ जाता है. एंड अगर हमारे डिज़ाइन कॉलेजेस में ये चीज़ हमें सिखाई जाती कि चालू तो करो, फेल हो गए तो हो गए, बट अपना बिजनेस शुरू करो, अपना खुद का काम करना सीखो. अगर कल को नौकरी नहीं मिलती इंडस्ट्री में तो तुम्हारी डिज़ाइन डिग्री को तुम किस तरह से यूज़ कर सकते हो. आई थिंक वो मैंने लाइफ एक्सपीरियंसेस से सीखा. दैट इज़ वन थिंग आई लर्न थ्रू माई लाइफ एक्सपीरियंसेस बाय मेकिंग अ लॉट ऑफ मिस्टेक्स इन लाइफ. आपको वो अब करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, मैं हूँ आपको गाइड करने के लिए. बट जब मैंने शुरुआत की थी तो इन्फॉर्मेशन नहीं थी, पता नहीं था. एंड स्पेशली आई फील दिस इज़ वेरी वेरी डिफिकल्ट फॉर समबडी हु कम्स फ्रॉम अ नॉन बिजनेस फैमिली बैकग्राउंड, राइट? इफ़ यू कम फ्रॉम अ सर्विस बैकग्राउंड जहाँ पे आपके माता पिता जॉब्स कर रहे थे, आपके बड़े भाई ने या बहन ने भी जॉब करी है, और फिर अगर आप कहते हो कि भाई मुझे तो एंटरप्रेन्योर बनना है, मुझे तो अपना खुद का बिजनेस चालू करना है, तो आप शुरू कहाँ से करोगे? आपको गाइड कौन करेगा? उसी के लिए तो हम कॉलेज जाते हैं, उसी के लिए तो हम डिग्री में पैसे लगाते हैं। एंड आई फील दैट इज़ वन थिंग जिस पे फोकस करना बहुत ज़रूरी है। अगर आपके कॉलेज में फोकस है इस चीज़ पे, तो आई एम मोर देन हैप्पी टू लिसन टू इट। प्लीज़ लीव अ कमेंट ऑन दिस पर्टिकुलर वीडियो, और पॉडकास्ट में भी मुझे बताएं या इंस्टाग्राम पे आके मुझे बताएं कि हमारे कॉलेज में ये कोर्स है जहाँ हमें एक्चुअली इन डेप्थ सिखाया गया है और इसकी बेनिफिट हुई है। For me, I took up a course at IIM Ahmedabad in creative and cultural businesses when I felt the need that my learnings have plateaued. 5 साल of running my own fashion brand, I realized कि अब plateau हो रहा है। अब scale करने के लिए mentors की ज़रूरत है भाई। अब grow करने के लिए दिग्गजों की ज़रूरत है जो help कर पाएंगे जल्दी scale करने में। And that is where I invested in, but not everybody comes from that privilege. So I feel this is one thing that my design degree didn't teach me. Number 2. Back in the day when I was graduating from my design school, customizing my career was not an option. Today you have subjects like minors and majors. You could take up any subject किसी भी और department में। कई सारे colleges ये आपको flexibility दे रहे हैं going with the industry trends, but when I had started out, that was not an option. अगर fashion design करी है, choose करा है, तो वो ही पढ़ना है 4 साल। ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा एक semester में एक आपको सब्जेक्ट ऑप्शनल मिल जाएगा जो किसी और डिपार्टमेंट का होगा। एंड आई फील एज अ डिज़ाइनर you cannot restrict yourself to doing only one thing. There's so much to explore in fashion, and that customization of choosing the right course or right specialization for yourself extends also to what you do with your career at a later stage in life once you've graduated. Because we've put ourselves in these man-made or these virtual boxes of categories that I've studied fashion design, so I'm going to be a fashion designer. I've studied knitwear design, so I'm going to work only in knits. हम उससे break ही नहीं कर पाते. It's good that design teaches us how to work in a format. We are put in molds. But I feel design colleges also need to educate young design aspirants on learning how to break out of those molds. We need to know how to break out of it. And that is where the real beauty of finding your truest potential is. When you learn that you don't have to be only a fashion designer after graduating from a fashion design degree, but you could also choose fashion styling or accessory design, or you could also dabble into fashion journalism, or you could also work as a fashion photographer. जब वो creative freedom आपको दी जाती है ना, और आपको बोला जाता है कि ये rigid boxes में नहीं रहना है, it is very fluid. Design is very fluid. So let your design sensibilities flow and give yourself that opportunity to be able to actually dabble into multiple streams and multiple disciplines until you decide what is your true calling. So customization of careers back in the day when I was in design school was not an option for me. And I really hope that it is an option for you today. And even if it is not, मैं चाहती हूँ कम से कम ये मुझसे सुन के सीख लो, और अगर हेल्प होती है तो प्लीज़ किसी और के साथ भी शेयर कर देना जो कंफ्यूज्ड है इस टाइम पे, अपनी टेक्सटाइल डिज़ाइन की डिग्री को लेकर बैठा है और सोच रहा है कि यार टेक्सटाइल्स में जॉब नहीं मिल रही या इंटरेस्ट नहीं आ रहा, पर डिग्री टेक्सटाइल में लिए। 4 साल की डिग्री अगर आपने गलत ले भी ली और आपका इंटरेस्ट नहीं भी है, उसके लिए 40 साल थोड़ी ना ख़राब करेंगे वही करके। सो कस्टमाइज योर करियर. Let these boxes not define you. The third thing which I feel my design education did not teach me is pricing my product. I talked about how I didn't learn business and how I didn't have access to learning how to grow my own business or build my own business or build a brand. But another thing which is very important once you've built, or the foundation of building a business, is the product that you're creating and the pricing that you're doing for your product. कई बार लोग हाथ जला के सीखते हैं, मैंने भी बहुत बार हाथ जला कर ये सीखा है कि how I should actually be pricing my product, because it is not just the product cost, it is not just the raw materials and the cost of production, but also a lot of overheads that go into it. How to actually create those profit margins for myself, how to create a business which is sustainable, which is not charging obnoxiously कि मैं बैठी हूँ सारा stock लेकर और कोई खरीद नहीं रहा, and it's also not undercharging the customers, which means that I am bearing the loss, right? Finding that middle ground for me was after a lot of hit and trial. And I was 22 when I started my fashion brand, right? It took a lot of trial and error to figure out what pricing is actually working. And I feel if pricing your product is something that is taught in design schools, it would help students get a lot more clarity also in the terms of understanding how they can price their services. Today, if you apply for an internship, to be able to actually understand what your stipend should be, or if you're working as a freelancer, to be actually able to quote on an hourly basis, or to be able to quote for a particular shoot if you're doing as a fashion photographer. It's so important to know how you should be pricing your product and pricing your services. It's so important to also understand what is the value of your skill. And these are things I wish I'd learned in design school. With my experiences of the last 7 years, I've managed to learn it the hard way. You don't again have to do it, मैं हूँ. But it's also something that's very, very close to my heart. And when I started the fashion side hustle course in my academy, I remember I was very, very clear that pricing तो यार इनको ना nail करा देनी है, बाकी तो नहीं पता. But they should be able to build brands for themselves, and they should be able to understand how they can price their product ताकि धक्के नहीं खाए यार, कोई cheat नहीं करे हमें, है ना? That's another thing I wish I'd learnt in design school, but कोई नहीं, life experiences taught me that. The fourth thing that I feel design schools should be teaching or could have taught and I did not learn. Also, I don't blame any institute. These are my personal opinions, of course. And I also feel back in the day in 2011, social media was not such a big thing. But आज मुझे लगता है one of the things that design school didn't teach me was social media and the importance of marketing and branding yourself on social media. And that's one of the things that life taught me and helped me build a brand for myself. I realized with experience that one of the reasons why you're listening to this podcast or watching this particular episode on my YouTube channel is because I learned how to build a brand on social media, a personal brand for myself, and I learned how to market myself. And these are skills that I feel are very, very essential and integral to any fashion student's journey, because you need to know and understand the industry you're getting into. And आप कह सकते हैं कि 10 साल पहले social media was just getting started in India, पर आज आप नहीं कह सकते हैं ये, because it is very, very interconnected today. With metaverse coming in place, with NFTs in fashion coming in place, with people creating digital fashion shows and digital fashion collections, it's very, very important to understand that आज वही state नहीं है fashion का जो 10 साल पहले था. Social media is literally the place where brands are running their campaigns. Whether you enter the industry as a fashion journalist or an editor or a fashion photographer or a fashion writer or a designer, whatever it is that you do, it's very, very important to understand this. The last thing that I feel design schools should be teaching, and I didn't personally learn it in design school, is dealing with customers. Very honestly, college can be hunky-dory, right? You can be a teacher's favorite pet, no shade on you, and people might have ways of getting marks in college, but real life is very, very different. When you're handling actual customers, there will be people who will be unhappy with you, and because they're paying you, they have all the right to be as rude and as unhappy as they want to be. So it's very, very important that as a designer, you learn how to actually handle customers, deal with them, tackle with them, communicate your ideas to them, take notes of user experience when you are designing something new, so that you're designing something that is inclusive, जो acceptable है market में, जिसके लिए लोग आपके पास आए खरीदने को, because उनको as a customer लगता है उसकी need है. ये बहुत सारी चीज़ें हैं जो हम मिस आउट कर जाते हैं, बिकॉज जब हम डिज़ाइन स्कूल में होते हैं ना, हम सिर्फ खुद के लिए बनाते हैं. राइट हम बनाते हैं मार्क्स के लिए, अपनी फैकल्टीज़ के लिए और खुद के लिए। हम भूल जाते हैं कि एंड कंज्यूमर कौन है, एंड कस्टमर कौन है। आपको कहा जाता है इन डिज़ाइन स्कूल्स टू मेक अ डेमोग्राफिक बोर्ड, टू मेक अ क्लाइंट प्रोफाइल एंड अ क्लाइंट बोर्ड वेयर यू पुट इन ऑल द डिटेल्स ऑफ द साइकोग्राफिक्स, द डेमोग्राफिक्स, कितनी सैलरी कमाते हैं, क्या एज ग्रुप है, क्या औरतें हैं, आदमी हैं, किसके लिए आप बना रहे हो कपड़े, आप डिज़ाइन कर रहे हो कुछ। बट जब एक्चुअली डिज़ाइन करने की बात आती है तो हम ये सारी चीज़ें भूल के वो बनाते हैं जो हमें बनाना पसंद है। पर सोच कर देखो, अगर यही कपड़े आप बेचने जाओगे मार्केट में, तो जो वो क्लाइंट बोर्ड आपने बनाया था, क्या वो क्लाइंट बोर्ड आपसे खरीदेगा? क्या वो लोग आपसे ये कपड़े खरीदेंगे अगर आप उनके बारे में सोच ही नहीं रहे और सिर्फ अपने डिज़ाइन एस्थेटिक्स के बारे में सोच रहे हो? एज अ डिज़ाइनर, अगेन, इट इज़ वेरी वेरी क्रूशियल to understand that your customer may not be king and may not know everything. I'm not saying that they are, but you need to take that feedback and incorporate that feedback into your designs. These are a few things that I feel design schools missed teaching them to me when I was graduating from fashion. A lot of these things maybe in the last 11-12 years may have been incorporated in the curriculum. I teach at some of the top colleges in the country today, and with my experience of being in design as a fashion design student and as an entrepreneur, as an educator, I feel there is still a lot more that we can do and make the lives of young design aspirants easy. So अगर आपने नोट्स बनाए हैं तो प्लीज़ उनको स्टोरीज पे शेयर ज़रूर करना और मुझे दिखाना ज़रूर, मैं भी देखना चाहूँगी क्या लिखा है. And of course, if you enjoyed listening to this podcast and if you enjoyed listening and watching this video, please make sure that you subscribe and leave me a review. I'll see you guys around. Bye.